How have I not noticed that there's the Newton's cradle in here? Or a lava lamp in the shape of a rocket ship? That's just cool. Oh. Was there always a camera spying on me? Probably. Well, the real question is, does this keep going up, or do we reset it today? That's the question. Well, let's get into it. Let's head on out to the oil. I think I'm forgetting a step. Why don't we unlock the jetpack and oil processing first? So I have to. The jetpack is just so good. We're just unlocking that straight away. Oh, feels so good to fly again. Solid biofuel is not great. But, hey, it's something. It's better than the parachute. Except for a few places. The parachute can be pretty useful, but all in all, jetpack is amazing. I love it. Oh, feels good. So just need to wait 4 minutes and then we can turn this one in. Let me grab everything I need. Right.
Milestone reached. Crude oil can now be extracted and refined to produce various industrially beneficial parts.
Alright. It is time for some oil. Let's see, 10 refineries to make the plastic and rubber. And then I think like 3 more to get rid of the heavy oil residue and coke. And then 2 oil extractors. I think that sums up everything I need. It's a really cool atmosphere, although sometimes the fog can make things a little bit hard to see. If you ever want to turn it off, hit the, I think the tilde key, the one right next to the 1. If you type in r.fog space 0, you can eliminate all the fog. So it may end up giving you some weird flickering in the distance because you're not supposed to see that far. But if you're tired of the fog, you can turn it off. Obviously, you can turn it back on with just a 1 instead of the 0. I think I'll leave it on. It's not too bad. There are some places or times of day, I don't remember. I don't really quite know what it is, but like the swamp and stuff can sometimes get just really hard to see. Alright, so let's just pick a spot. It really doesn't matter. We can just start here. The inputs will all face this way. So these ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so let's take a look at the recipes. We're just doing plastic for the first 5. 30 in, 20 plastic, 10 heavy oil residue. So this will be making 100 plastic. And then these ones are just using the default rubber. So same thing, 30. Since I have 2 impure nodes, each one will feed either the plastic or the rubber. Alright, and then from here, we're just going to have 3 more. That looks good. Just throw these down here on the side. Since you can't really load balance pipes, you can make it though so they feed a little bit more evenly. So with 5, I am going to put 3 junctions down. And with these, we're just going to connect the end ones. So we don't need a junction there. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it plug into the very center. And this way it gets distributed a little bit more evenly than if it was coming in just from one end. And we do the same thing on this side. Just need to create the little bus to take it over to the oil extractors over there. Let's work on the outputs. If I can avoid changing the elevation with pipes, I do. Since I need to use both outputs, I'm going to keep the fluids on the ground, which is the heavy oil residue, and I'm going to go ahead and go up with the solids. So from right there, I just kind of want to see where I need to put these mergers. So it's going to be right on this edge. So we're going to have this one face in, the middle one will face out, and this one will face in. Cool. So we just need to stack these up. Delete all these bottom ones. There we go, and these connect right in. And then with these ones, we'll just make a nice right angle. Oh, this one's facing the wrong way. It's supposed to be that way. There we go. And since all of these are outputting 20 per minute, it's fine for all of these to be Mark 1. This one right here needs to be Mark 2, however. And then as far as the pipes go, I'm just going to line these up. Let's see. Oh, they can go right on this line right here. So you don't need one for this. And let's go ahead and change the color now. That looks close enough to heavy oil residue. Alright, so once we get the first one, then we get the nice little lines that help line it up. So I could merge all of these together in one big line, but I'm actually going to split it up into two and then merge them. Does that make a difference? Probably not. Now if we take a look at the two recipes, they output different amounts of the heavy oil residue. So for the plastic, we're getting 10 per machine, so 50 total. And then for rubber, we're getting double that. We're getting 20 per machine. So 100 from here, 50 from plastic. That's 150 in total in this pipe. And that's just going to come right along here. And we're going to go into these three machines. I really hope we get the straight mode that we got for belts for pipes. That would be pretty cool. Alright, so with these, we just need the heavy oil residue. So slap that right there. And let's take a look at the recipes. So, petroleum coke. Oh, I actually need... Oh, well, apparently math is hard. I forgot this recipe only intakes 40. So I actually need a fourth one. Alright, so since there's an even number, not something like 5, I am just going to load balance these because I like to. So, do you need to? No, absolutely not. So this just lets the machines turn on at basically the same time instead of just having one fill up much quicker than the other ones. And it's all temporary, and this is going to get deleted anyways, so. And that takes care of the heavy oil residue. Let's just set the machines. Alright, so since I don't know the exact number that I'm dealing with for the petroleum coke, but I do know the heavy oil residue, so what I can do is just do the math up here. So I have 150, I'm going to use 4 machines, divide that by the default rate of 40, multiply by 100, and there is the percentage. So 37.5 is what each one of these is clocked to. Since these are putting out 112.5, that's 450 petroleum coke. Unfortunately, that doesn't fit on one belt. We can do a couple things with it. You can use petroleum coke for a number of different things, although I don't think I have any of the recipes for that yet. So for me, I see 2 main options. I can turn this into power. I believe coal gens run off of 25 a minute for the petroleum coke, so that would give me 18 more generators, which is not a small amount. That would add me another 1350 megawatts per hour. And if that's what you go with, I don't blame you. You'll have to subtract a little bit for the water, but still, it's a pretty healthy amount more power that you're gonna add. But instead, each petroleum coke actually sinks for 20, which isn't a lot, but with 450, that'll be 9,000 points per minute. And you know what? That will add up decently quick. So I am going to add sinks, and I need 2 of them since it doesn't all fit on one belt until I get Mark IV. Then I just need to make sure I use Mark II belts out of the machines, and then I can use, I should line this up with where the merger was. And then I just need Mark III into here. And then that's how I'll get rid of the heavy oil residue into coke, into a decent amount of sync points, so I can start unlocking all those cool things in the awesome shop. And for now, I'm just going to slap down some industrial storage containers and put everything in here. Since this is going to be temporary, I don't think it's worth setting up a temporary belt to take it all the way back to the hub. I can take my zip line here and back pretty quickly. So let me go ahead and polish this up a little bit, get power ran, and I'll take you on a quick tour before we start it up. The oil extractors are set up and they have actually already been turned on. So I've got the pipes completely full. I really like to pre-fill the pipes. I feel like it just helps everything along a lot easier. And then they just come around here and head on back. And we've just got the storage containers set up, and I just went ahead and added some smart splitters right here. So we've got the overflow. Once that completely fills up, that'll go ahead and merge into here with the plastic and the rubber and go on into its own sink. But we've got everything wired up, and then that comes over to here, and we've got our petroleum coke ready to go. And then I just pushed everything back a little bit farther so it's closer to the wall and a little bit less out of the way. But this is all definitely temporary, so this is all going to get deleted, hopefully sooner than later. But this right here will be enough to get pretty much most of the unlocks going. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Alright, we'll just drag one more pull down here. So right there, that looks good. And here we go. Alright, and we're pretty much instantly up to 100% as far as the rubber and plastic, which since the pipes were already filled up, it makes sense. So we're just waiting on the heavy oil residue to kick these ones off, which is sounding like these are finally turning on. And there they go. Alright. I may have forgotten to connect one of the sinks to power. There we go. So it's going to be a little bit more since I forgot to turn that sink on, so now it's getting rid of that excess. Once the excess clears out, it'll go back down to 9,000, but that will definitely help some more coupons. Alright, I'm just going to wait a little bit longer so I can take back like 3 stacks, and that should be enough to at least get a couple of the unlocks done. I can run back and forth when I need to. Alright, let's take these. And these. What to unlock next? I definitely want to unlock package fuel. Obviously, Logistics Mark IV is kind of a must as well. So let's just work our way down the line, since I can't do them all at once anymore. It's a good time to go check on this factory and see how much progress we've made. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so let's grab a bunch more motors. A bunch more encased industrial beams. Take that back with us. Mark IV belts. Heck yeah. Alright, just need to wait 4 minutes. We can unlock the fluid packaging. So one of the things I want to do in this video is do some exploring, and this right here is just such a game changer for it. It'll let me just stay out way longer and just have access to all the little parts that I wouldn't normally want to take with me. Like, I know to get to one of the hard drives you need, I think, like black powder, and normally I wouldn't carry that with me, but if I can upload some and then grab it just for when I need it for that one hard drive, that would be perfect. And it'll let me collect just tons of the nuts and berries and bacon and just keep uploading them so that I can make inhalers and whatnot later. So this is just, it's gonna be huge. So I definitely want to get some of these unlocked while I'm waiting. So I have 10 Mercer spheres, so I think I'm just gonna get the first upgrade for each one of these. I need a bit more plastic so I can craft some computers. I'm definitely gonna make sure I grab this upgrade before I leave to go exploring.
Dimensional expansion increased to 200%.
Oh yes, food packaging.
Milestone reached. Avoid the embarrassment of placing liquids in your pockets only for them to spread across your suit. Package and unpackage them with the packager.
That is a great tip. Don't put fluids in your pocket. Ah yes, I need this one so that I can unlock computers. I forgot. Alright, let's unlock the manufacturer. And computers, heavy modular frames, all the fun stuff. So definitely want to do petroleum power. That'll probably honestly be the next one. Trains, I love trains. I'm going to use a lot of trains. Don't actually have a use for them right now, so obviously wouldn't need the signaling. This will be nice, although I don't know how soon I actually need it. And that would be cool, but that is a lot of computers and heavy modular frames. I'm just going to throw together a quick setup for the packaged fuel, and I'll show you what it looks like. So like I mentioned, just a really quick setup. Oh, didn't need to place foundations here. Alright, so let's get the power pole right in the center. And we can bring it out to, that's probably on this line. So we'll go to here. Alright, so I have this underclocked to 50%. So not making a whole lot of fuel. 20 a minute is honestly, it's a pretty good amount. And this way I only need 30 of the heavy oil residue. And then from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap down a constructor here. And a packager here. Alright, so package fuel. We're only making 20 fuel, so this can be at 50%. So I need 20 empty canisters. If we go to empty canisters, that is a lot less. So I just need 10 plastic. And let's see, these machines, I believe, are outputting 20. Alright, so what I need to do is just cut that off there. Let's grab ourselves a splitter, get this in line. And that won't actually connect, so we do have to replace the lift. Delete these two. Alright, and now we can connect that up. And from here, I can grab this, send it down, straight mode, and there we go. So that will be my 10 plastic. Let's see where it is. There's the connections up here. So let's place this up here. Alright, so we've got our empty canisters. And we've got our packaged fuel. So these are just going to come around here. No clipping, no clipping. Alright. And then the fuel is going to come out of here. So we can just come around here. There we go. And let's change this to orange. Yeah, you can be gray. That's fine. Alright, and let's just play this up. Oh yeah, forgot about that part. Okay, so we need 30 heavy oil residue. And let's see, these each output 10. So let's go ahead and let's see, 1, 2, 3. So we are just going to cut off this and this. And we're gonna go from here to here. Is this lined up straight? That looks like it. Alright. There we go. So there's our 30. And then I can just rebalance the petroleum coke now that there's 30 less. I guess now I only need exactly 3 of them. So that's kind of nice. Okay. Alright, well, let's see how long this takes. And let's go ahead and just add... Oh, of course, I'm out of steel pipes, so let me go grab those. And I can build myself a storage container. Oh, there we go. This is so much better than the solid biofuel for the jetpack. Ideally, we actually replace these with the other 2 types, in my opinion. Packaged turbo fuel is great for speed and acceleration and all that jazz, so for exploring, that's really nice. But for building and whatnot for your factory, I actually really enjoyed the packaged liquid biofuel, I think is what it's called. That stuff is just really nice. The burn time is super long, and so I can't wait to see what the other fuel types are like when we finally get there. So I'm going to let this build up, and then there's one other thing I want to do to prepare before I go out exploring. So let me head back to the hub. I have a new little addition here, but before we get to that, let me show you. I threw down just a temporary setup so that I could crank out some circuit boards, and with those I have cranked out a couple of the computers so that way I've got my manual upload and I can start storing some parts. After all of the MAM upgrades, I had 1 Mercer screw left so I could build one of the dimensional depot uploaders. So we've just got this one. We're just at the first upgrade, so only 30 per minute, but this is kind of working away just a whole bunch of different parts that I want to have loaded up in there so that when I'm out and about and one of the hard drives randomly requires, aluminum casings, because that's bound to happen, I don't have to carry around with me this whole time. For the most part, I need ammo, concrete so that I can build ramps and foundations to get around the place when the jet fuel isn't enough, but I've got plenty of jet fuel, and then just way too many of some of these parts I'm going to have to lighten my load a little bit. The main parts are fuel, ammo, some explosives, and being able to just manually upload all of the remains and whatnot into here so that they don't take up space in my inventory, which I'm pretty excited about. So, I think it's about that time. Alright, real quick, this is Editor Moo. I realized that I didn't include something, and I probably should have. So, let me go over this real quickly. This is what I like to do for exploration. I have just a blank hotbar, and if you hold down Alt and you use the scroll wheel when not in another menu, you can go through all different 10 that you have available. I like to add just a normal foundation, and then you could either use the ramp or the double ramp. Early on, I often don't have the double ramp, so I'll just put the normal ramp on there. And there's one blueprint that I absolutely love to add, and that is this one right here. So, it's super simple. I'm in my creative world right now just to show this off so I can fly around it, make it a little bit easier. So I just have 4 biomass burners. The orientation really doesn't matter. I just have them facing each other just to have the power connections all closest to the middle here. I have them preloaded with 5 solid biofuel, and then I have them connected with a Mark II power pole. If you don't have Mark II power poles unlocked, my suggestion would be just to make half of this. So you just have 2 of them and a single Mark I pole, and then you can scale it as many times as you need. And let me show you. You're going to run across plenty of drop pods in the world that require a certain amount of power. If it's 30 or less, you only need 1 biomass burner, so it's real easy to just slap down. But I'm telling you, this is just easy, because 1 is a blueprint, so now I can pretty much place it anywhere, even though this seems ridiculous. It's already got the power connection. I guess that's the one other thing I would add. Let's add cable. So now all I need to do is drag this over to here, and I can get to my hard drive. The other great thing is now in blueprint mode, I can just delete this all in one go. Granted, placing all of that really isn't hard, but just having a blueprint and instantly being able to have 120 megawatts for, a short period of time. 5 solid biofuel isn't going to last forever, but definitely long enough to unlock a hard drive. You realistically only need 1 solid biofuel in each one. I just like to give myself a little bit of a buffer, just in case I need to place them farther away, and there is one that costs 420 megawatts. And so the nice thing with this is, since each one is 120, as long as you have the materials with you, or your dimensional depot is loaded up, I could just place 4 of them real quick, connect them up, and unlock the hard drive. And then all I need to do is just go back to blueprint mode, and I can just get rid of them all real easily. So I highly recommend making some blueprint like that. I just think it's super handy. Alright, now let's do some exploration. Hard drives are the main goal for this exploration trip. However, I want to get a good amount of alien remains, artifacts, and slugs. And I'm quickly realizing that the rebar gun isn't great for the tougher areas. This probably has more to do with the fact that I'm just horrible at first-person shooters, so I think I'm gonna need a bigger gun. And this was just a brain fart. I had fuel. I just didn't use it for some reason. Back to 0 days. The Spire Coast just has a ton of power slugs all over the place. The only tricky part is without a jetpack, you're going to have quite a hard time getting around to most of them, as they're just all over as far as elevation goes, and you've got hatchers that cling to the bottom sides of rocks that you won't see until you land, and it can get a little bit interesting out here. until you unlock the rifle, where you can just kind of snipe these at long range, being able to sneak up to even the alpha hatchers just, oh, it was one of the best things I learned, and it was fairly recent, and for the beginning of the game, just game changer. Alright, well this has been a great start to the exploration trip, but I'm definitely not done, and I think I want some upgrades. It's rifle time. So, I went ahead and unlocked it. I forgot to record any of this, but let me go through it real quickly. It's just a temporary setup, and I decided to go ahead and start using some summer sloop for the first time. This is just such a cool effect. Oh yeah. So before I go through this little setup, let me show you the other one that I added to get this all started. Alright, so there's the space elevator and our temporary factory that I just can't wait to delete. So I took the sulfur node that is just around the corner, I believe it's right here, and I belted it just around this little mound. And there's 2 impure coal nodes, so I just needed 1. I've got 3 going. Each of the miners are only set to 45, so I've just got 3 machines going, cranking out just a ton of black powder so that I can just scoop this up and then head on back to the oil. Fly over here and drop it into this container. This container feeds into this refinery, which I'm using 2 of my summer sloops that I collected. So that way I could double the production and I can get 40 smokeless powder. So I am just leaching off 10 heavy oil residue from my line right here. So I'm currently running these slightly less efficient, and I'm not getting quite as many sync points, but I'm getting that sweet smokeless powder. And once I run out of black powder, those will be running at full efficiency again. Just, you know, a temporary addition to the temporary factory. So we've got smokeless powder coming into here, and then I just brought over a ton of copper sheets and have them going into this assembler, which, holy cow, 3 power shards, 2 summer sloops, you go from 15 to 201.5 megawatts. Holy cow. All of this is amazing, but there is a definite cost. So this is just loading up tons of rifle ammo for me, so now I've just got tons. And now the local fauna doesn't stand a chance. With the rifle and jetpack, exploring becomes 100 times easier in my opinion. Better fuel options would help, and hopefully this trip will last me long enough until I get those. I genuinely have no idea how I survived that. But thankfully, I do have some medical inhalers, and those kind of save the day. Alright, so I know my aim is awful. Feel free to confirm that in the comments. But have any of you noticed that the hitbox seems a little strange on some of the enemies? Like really small, like only their head sort of a thing. I don't know if that's intended, or maybe I'm just that bad. But let me know if you've noticed that too. In total, I ended up with 3 to 4 hours of footage for this. I left out the exploration in the last series because I was using the advanced game settings for the fly mode, and that kind of takes all the challenge out of it. I'm happy to receive constructive criticism as I want to keep making these videos better. Feel free to leave any suggestions below. I sped up the clips so that I could squeeze in more of them, but if it's too quick or jarring, let me know. There are also timestamps if this just isn't what you're here for. So with the hard drives, my thinking is right now, there are two that I really want, and that right there is one of them. The heavy oil residue is just one of those essential ones when you get to oil power. The other one is the diluted package fuel. There's also just a whole bunch of others that I need so that when I do have that power, I can set up the factory the way I want it to using the right alt recipes. But there's also just a ton that I don't really need. So right now I'm just scanning as many as I can. And the optimal outcome is either one that I do want or two that I really don't want, because then I can just leave it in there and those options won't show up again, which is just a great change. I love it. The Dimensional Depot is a game changer. Being able to deposit all of these crash site goodies and remains is amazing. Normally, I would have filled up or just started having to delete just random stacks of items. This just helps a ton. Look at all the berries! Noblists are super effective against the little spiders. Just, try not to delete the thing you're standing on. Being able to just snipe away at some of these bigger beasts make these areas a bit easier. I can't wait to find ways to utilize these summer sloops. And that was enough swamp for one day. I'm going to cut through the Titan forest instead. Well, that is finally over. That took longer than I thought, but you know what? The exploration is a fun kind of break from all of the factory building, and I actually kind of enjoy it from time to time. So I've already popped in another hard drive, and my library is just super full. I'm actually recording this bit well after I did the exploration, and so now it can scroll, and this makes me just so happy, because if I left any of those clips in there, I had filled up the bar, and once it gets to a certain point, then it was like you could only see a sliver of the select reward, and I just wasn't even thinking about the search bar that I could limit it down. So that was just on me. But I was worried that I just wouldn't be able to select them anymore. So I kept selecting ones that, I needed or I wanted, And then I was leaving a bunch of the ones where I didn't really want either one. Like, I don't need either one of these anytime soon, so I would much rather these not be in my pool of hard drives. So I'm leaving these in here. I'm absolutely going to take some of these, but since it had one that I wanted and one that I didn't, until I absolutely need to pick it, it's been kind of nice to just leave these in here so that they don't pop up under any of the rest of them, since I've got a good amount of hard drives. But the part that I really wanted to show off was I went ahead and unlocked the production amplifier. So I have plenty of circuit boards, and it only took one more Summers loop. And now, what I can do is come over to this little setup. So for, say, the blue power shards, instead of it being a 1-to-1 ratio, now I'm getting double. I went ahead and threw everything in this container. So this is what I'm going to go through right now. And I am just going to load up on all of these goodies. And we're going to double everything. So for blue power shards, just throw those right in. Going from 4 megawatts to 53.7 is crazy, but this is awesome. Obviously for power shards, this is super powerful and just ridiculously strong. I am just going to take all of those slugs and just double the amount that I would have gotten, which is awesome. But what's really cool is the alien remains. Since it's a 2-step process, I get double the amount of proteins, and then I'm going to take all those proteins and then turn them into DNA capsules. So, as you can see, I've got quite a bit of these, and that's why I have the storage container. Getting rid of this many slugs and remains is going to take a few minutes. So, I will be right back. So I just threw all my inventory into some personal storage bins. I do this a lot where I'll just throw down 3 and then just unload everything when I need to move around a whole bunch of stuff. Super handy. Alright, so now let's take a look. Ta-da! So that's a few DNA capsules and a few hundred power shards. So thankfully this will set me up for a little while. It's definitely not going to last, but it'll last long enough. So before I accidentally sink all those, let's go ahead and put those in there. I'm sure somebody smart with this information could figure out exactly how much this is going to get ahead of time, but if you're like me and have no idea really, go ahead and leave your guesses in the comments. How many coupons do you think this is going to generate me? Because I had a guess, and I was close, but I wasn't quite right. And we've got a Mark IV belt. So this actually shouldn't take too long. And there it is. 91 coupons, if I remember correctly what it was. And that's not bad. I really thought that many may get me close to 100, and I mean, that is pretty close. And I'm pretty happy with it. 149? We can do some damage in the store with this. Alright. So I think I want to get pretty much everything that I could think of that would be super useful, and then I'll kind of circle back to things that are decent but I don't use super often. So this is a lot altogether right there, and I want to make sure that I get most everything. Like these I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna make sure I get everything else. Like I'd much rather have all the different foundations, all the walls. Oh, windows, absolutely. Definitely want roofs. Just everything in architecture. And yeah, we don't need any of this stuff. Okay, so what are we at? 128. Perfect. So let's go over to here and let's get, let's see. I really want to try that chrome. That looks pretty cool. 33, 149. Hey, there we go. Well, I just need a few more coupons to be able to come back and buy everything else. Obviously, we need a factory cart and a boombox. And this just looks really cool. But we're pretty close from unlocking absolutely everything. And now I don't have to cheat with my blueprints. Let's go. With all of that unlocked, I think I want to do a little bit of a cosmetic upgrade to basically the one semi-permanent thing that I've built, and that's the coal power. I also want to add a little bit to it, so I'm going to meet you over there. Ah, the coal is still flowing beautifully. Love to see it. And now it has a glass cage. So added a little bit something to it. Still have a bit more to do on the actual beautification of the coal factory. That's a weird sentence. But this is what I want to add. So let me go to the very top floor because it'll be a little bit easier to show off the blueprint. I made just a really simple blueprint. I crammed in 25 power storage because that will fit inside a 4x4. And then what I am doing is we're just going to line it up actually with this corner. So that will give me one full foundation around on this side and just a little bit of space in case I ever needed to run along this edge or along the back. So we're going to go ahead and place that there. And this right here is going to be my little battery storage tower. So I'm going to have 4 floors of these, so each one providing 2,500 megawatts of storage. So I'll have a nice cool 10K. This will take quite a while to completely charge up because I'm making about a third of that power total, and it's not all free. But this way, when I go to start my oil power plant, I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of machines turning on at once and then crashing other factories. I don't have the priority power switches yet, which I really probably should focus on unlocking soon. Even without it, I would still much prefer to have at least some power storage. This may be a little bit overkill, but what's a factory game without a little bit of overkill, right? I really like these new honeycomb frame windows, so I had to use them. Let me go ahead and just place these. It's just a single blueprint, so it's not too exciting to place. And then I'll give you a quick tour once it's all put together. I went ahead and added a power switch and a light control. Since I want to try to make things look a little bit better, we'll try to use a few lights here and there. Eventually, I'll come back and make this a priority power switch, but for now, a regular one works pretty well. The other benefit of using just the regular power switch, instead of not one at all, is now this light control panel only controls the lights that I have out here, and none of the ones on the other side of the switch. But for now, I have them on nighttime mode. Alright, so let's go through the tour, and please temper your expectations. I am not good at the aesthetic part of the game, but I think I did an okay job. First thing I did was switch out the power poles for streetlights, because these can also daisy chain together, and it's a nice little way to light up the walk path. Obviously this won't be completely lit, you need to use way more if you want solid lighting all the way across, but it's kind of a fun way to break it up. I didn't do too much on this because this was already fairly done. I just added some barriers to kind of block off the conveyors. Since I'm only using a half foundation, I couldn't figure out a way. I kind of wanted to cover this, but you're so limited on options as far as like half walls. So I'm just leaving it open, and I just blocked it off with low barriers instead. And if we come over here, got a nice little doorway, and here are our batteries. So they're already charged a bit, 59%. Decorating takes me a while. So just went with flat roofs, and then just kind of added a nice little elevated part in the very center, just to kind of give it, you know, a little bit of height difference. And then if we come on out here, we just have stairs, and we've got a nice view. I went ahead and added a kind of like a barrier wall around the whole factory, instead of it just being on completely flat tiles right on the water, which at first, I'll be honest, didn't bother me, and then the more I built on it, the more it really did. I really don't like the water coming up over the concrete. It really started to bug me. So in the future, I'm just going to build 1 meter higher than this, and I will deal with how to make water extractors merge onto that, because I don't want to see that anymore. But once I built everything, there's no way I was going to tear it all down just to raise it up 1 meter. So thankfully, this is in the corner of the world, and I probably won't come back here very often. But at least when I do, I've got all of this other stuff to distract me from that. So I went ahead and added some of the cool big floodlights around here so it helps light up the factories. Since I can't make it permaday, using a few more lights in the world would probably be a good idea. And if we come back in here, we've just got another row. So all 3 floors are going to look exactly the same. And then I've just got stairs to take me in between each of these floors. And we can go all the way down to the bottom floor. So nothing too crazy. I just needed a place to stack 100 power storage, and I thought this was a fun way to do it. Added a little bit something to this factory, kind of helped me make that section not so weird. So I'm happy with it. For the rest of this, I went 1 foundation up, and that's where I put the lights, and then I just have 1 more foundation kind of going around that. That's 1 up higher all the way around to kind of give it that little step layered look. So I thought that was kind of a cool way, instead of closing off the entire thing, that way I could leave it open, but it doesn't look so weird being just like completely level with the water, in my opinion. Ah yes, keep on polluting away. I thought we'd close this one out with a little nighttime setting with lumen on. Although from this distance, when I turned it on, I could barely tell the difference because it's not indoors or anything. The lights definitely do help at night. But that's going to do it for this episode. It was a long one, but I made a ton of progress. I got tons of hard drives, loads of power shards, and unlocked almost everything in the Awesome Shop with all of those coupons. In the next video, I'm going to be unlocking oil power, and then that's what I'm going to do. The goal for all of these hard drives was to unlock heavy oil residue and the diluted packaged fuel recipe. And once I get some fuel power going, I can really set up the factory that I want, and I can finally delete all of these temporary factories. So look forward to that, and thanks for watching.